Okay, there we go. Good morning. So for those of you at home, I just mentioned this to the people in the class. I did cancel the unit quiz. Some people will be elated to hear that. We just had too many things to do today, so I switched it up. I just don't think people were going to get everything done. So we are going to have a unit quiz for the next unit, but there'll be plenty of other things to do today. So I don't think you'll miss it. I don't think you'll be like, oh, I have so much extra time here to do this quiz. So so don't worry about the quiz. I'm just going to quickly go through what we're going to be working on today. It's all there posted as well, but let me open it up here for you. You guys see that? You guys see that? Micah, would you mind hitting the lights, turning the lights off? Thank you. Okay, so today we're on day 4. If you didn't get a chance to complete the cell types lab activity yesterday, I know there are a few people in that boat. Some people had questions that they emailed me very late. I can't really respond to your emails if you're sending them at like 9 p.m., so don't take that personally. I'm not going to get back to you the same day if I'm getting emails then, but I will get on them right away now once we're done this, and then we can get that stuff worked out if you've got questions. This was technically due yesterday. Keep in mind that the due dates are there to help keep you on track. So I wouldn't try and push them too much. It's not a huge deal if something is like a day late, but try not to push the due dates because there's more stuff coming always. So if you start to push them, you're going to get yourself into trouble. You won't be able to complete all the work. So wait, thank you for chiming in, by the way, everybody at home, so I can take attendance. Appreciate it. Okay, so anyway, you do need to finish that cell types lab assignment. Hopefully, I think about half of the students have handed it in. So if you're one of those, then you're good to go. If you forgot to just hit the submit button on it. If you're having trouble attaching that Google Doc that you completed, let me know. I'll go through the procedure for that. Some people yesterday had some problems with that. Okay, so that was yesterday's stuff. Today, during Learning Block 1, hopefully you're done the cell types lab assignment. You're going to be working on another lab. This is the Diffusion Lab. So all the information for this is actually in day 3 stuff because we were going to do it during day 3. So if you go to the day 3 stuff here from Learning Block 2, at the bottom you'll see that there is a Diffusion Lab Assignment. It's for you guys here as well. So it's another Google Doc. Okay, it's a fill-in Google Doc form. This one is quite a bit shorter than the lab from yesterday, so it's not 10 pages. I think it's 4 pages. Let me double check. It's quite a bit shorter. I cut this one way down because I didn't. It ended up being. I don't want you guys working like a super long time on these. So let me just double check. It's definitely shorter. Day 3. It's 5 pages. Okay, so it's half as long as the other lab. This lab is a little bit more technical than the previous lab, and page 5 is only like a quarter of a page, so it's kind of like 4 and a little bit. Okay, so this one is a little bit different than the other lab. The other lab is more of an observational lab. This lab is, how would I describe it? It's almost like a chemistry lab, so it's an experimental lab. So they're going to ask you basically you have a container, and you have 2 solutes, 2 things dissolved in the liquid, like virtually, right, in your container. And it's going to ask you to change the conditions in the container and see how that affects how those solutes are going to diffuse across a membrane, or to go from one area in the container into another area in the container. So when you're working on this, try and picture this as movement of particles either into or out of a cell. That's the whole point of this. We're talking about transport of materials across the cell membrane. And what types of factors, environmental factors, can affect how quickly those things are moved across the cell membrane. I think the lab looks at temperature. So this is kind of like a biochemistry lab. What are the factors that you look at? Yeah, temperature. So you're going to alter the temperature. It asks you to make form a hypothesis. In other words, if you increase the temperature of the liquid, how is that going to affect how quickly particles go across the membrane? You can just think about that. Think about how the particles are moving. You can play around with the gizmo a little bit and kind of see how that works before you make your hypothesis. Okay, and then basically you're just going to run this experiment. It's a simulation, and you're going to time to see how long it takes for the solute, the thing in the mixture, to balance between the two sides. Okay, there's a timer built right into it. And then you're going to record your data. So this is just like an experimental lab. And so you're going to find out whether or not your hypothesis is correct. You're going to change a factor and look at how that affects the time for it to reach equilibrium, for things to pass across the membrane. So unlike the first lab, which is, like I said, more observational, this lab is experimental. You're going to conduct an experiment. And so that's also part of this course. I have to do an experimental lab with you guys. There's probably going to be a similar experimental lab in every unit, ideally. This is what we would have done in the lab. Basically this exact lab, except in an actual container. So, so this is just a virtual version of this. Okay, so you're going to go through that. What else is in this gizmo? So the second part of the gizmo in part B, you are going to choose the variable that you're going to adjust in the container. So you do temperature in part A. You're going to increase the temperature and then look at how long it takes for these particles to go across the membrane. And then in part B, you get to change it. So what are the different things that it lets you use? Maybe I can pull it up on here. Let me try and do it on here. It's not this gizmo, it's the other one. Diffusion. Does it work on my iPad? Oh, it does. Awesome. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's a simulation, so obviously it's not a real container. So you can change the amount of solute. So that's the concentration of the thing on one side of the barrier. You can change the concentration of something on the other side of the barrier and see how that affects the rate of diffusion across the barrier. The temperature is what you're going to do in the first one. You can also change how big the particles are. So this is that also potentially could affect the rate of diffusion. That is, how big are the molecules that are diffusing across the membrane? Okay, so you're going to pick a factor. It says setup A and setup B. The key here in an experiment is you only want to manipulate one of these variables. Okay, so I wonder if I can show you what this sheet looks like. No, not this one. Hold on. Am I able to look at it here? Give me one sec. Docs. Oh, I got to use Google Docs app. Diffusion. Okay, so let's go have a quick look at experiment B. Okay, so it's saying setup A and setup B. That's so setup A is how you're going to basically like your control situation. When it says wall, these are all the settings that are in the actual gizmo. So you're it just crashed. It's annoying. So it's all these settings here on the left. So for example, like how big is the wall between your two sides of the container? Is it 50% of the distance between the two? Is it 75%? So those are your conditions that are in your container. And you're going to label that as setup A. Then for setup B, you're going to change one of those. Okay, so you're going to pick one to change. You can change the amount of the second solute. You can change the mass of the particles. You can change how much the wall covers in between the two sides of the solution. Okay, whatever you want. And then you're going to run the experiment again and then look at the effect that that one single change has. Just make sure that you're only changing one of the variables. That's how things work in an experiment. Okay, so that, and then it asks you to record data for whatever. So I think it actually gives you, for one, what the settings should be, and then for the other one it says like, now choose your own settings. Okay, so that's the second part. So part A, it's giving you all the settings and telling you to run the experiment and then analyze what you see at the end. And then part B is you are going to choose something to change and then analyze the results. Okay, that is what we're going to be working on during learning block 1. I have a feeling this may require some feedback on my part. In other words, I'm not sure what to do here in the lab or whatever. If that's you, that's totally fine. Just let me know. And I will be able to help you with this one. Okay, we might have to jump, if you're at home, we might have to jump into a Google Meet quickly so I can like go over some stuff from the lab. Do your best. This lab report is also going to get submitted. So going back here to the, gotta relog in, eh? Okay, so it gets submitted here under day 3, Diffusion Lab Assignment. So this is where you're going to attach that Google Doc when you're done and submit. I'm hoping that you guys can finish this during learning block 1. That's the idea. So you got about 2 hours to do this lab. Hopefully we can iron out all the potential confusion. I realize we've never done an experimental lab before. That's how everything's going to be in this classroom probably. So we'll figure it out together. Okay, the second part of today. By the way, did anybody watch the Chubby Emu video? The one on drinking a crazy amount of water? Nobody watched it. Oh, it was so cool.
I watched that like last year.
Oh, you saw it last year? Oh, okay. All right.
By myself, like at home.
Okay. There was a new Chubby Emu video came out yesterday about somebody drinking 2 bottles of Benadryl on TikTok and what happened to their internal organs and stuff. I think that was kind of cool. if you like that channel, it's a really cool channel. But anyway, I highly recommend the video if you haven't watched it. You should watch it. It talks a lot about how changing the amount of water that's in your blood affects the diffusion across the cell membrane and can potentially like cause a lot of problems for you. It's really an interesting video. Anyway, during learning block 2 today, that's when you're going to work on your summative project for this this unit. Okay, so instead of doing a unit test, we're going to work on a summative project. I'm going to quickly go over the requirements for the summative project right now. Or should I leave that for learning block 2? Maybe I'll leave that for learning block 2. Too much to talk about all at once. I'm going to give people an opportunity to work on the lab right now. Okay? If you happen to finish the diffusion lab early and you still have stuff to finish, have a look at your assignments and see which ones aren't submitted. Feel free to finish those. Keep in mind that today you also have to submit your vocabulary list for the unit. So if you don't have at least 15 words on your vocabulary list plus the definitions in your own words, that has to be done today and submitted by midnight. You got to get that done. Okay, that's the other part of your summative evaluation for this unit. So take a moment and do that if you feel like you're done everything at this point. Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity to work on the lab. We'll come back at, what time is the luncheon get? 11:05? So why don't we say 10 after 11 because we go for like a little walk. Right after the break. And so I'll see you guys then at 10 after 11. Email. I will leave this this live stream open. And so you can add stuff to the chat. Whatever you need to do. But get in contact with me. Okay. I will see you guys in a little bit. Good luck and let me know if you need anything.
What? Is this only like one of those midget ones?
Hi, Mr. Beagleman.
Yeah.
Can we do groups? Like, if there's a big assignment, can we like maybe make a group of 3 with our friends, and then we split it evenly between us?
We could do a project like that. This presentation isn't that, but
Yeah.
I'll consider that for the future. My initial issue with doing group work was I wasn't sure how attendance was going to work. I wasn't sure if maybe a lot of people weren't going to show up, if people were not going to come in from home. And then so we would end up creating groups and then like so-and-so isn't here, this person isn't taking part, and that would have been really problematic. But I think in general, people are all participating. So yeah, we can do that. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to start with that just in case. Oh, hello. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to quickly go over, let's see, is everybody here? No, I'm in it by myself, so maybe I'll wait a second. I'll post that we're live in this thing again. Oh, sorry. Hi, Nadia. When I clicked on participants, it was empty. But okay, I see it now. Just going to add this link on the homepage so people can join us, so they know they can join us. Oh,
When you're live.
I guess not. Or there are people in then. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, because it doesn't show it in participants. So, Braden, your name just showed up just now when you typed. So I guess it only does show up if you contribute. Interesting. I better not use that for attendance then. That's good to know. Oh yeah, it says 9 people are viewing. Okay, all right. Well, then maybe everyone is here. All right, cool. So just really quickly, guys, I'm going to go over the requirements for, well, it's not really going to be that quick. I'm going to go over all the requirements for the project. So this project is a presentation, and it's meant to be sort of like a summative for everything that we've covered so far. There's little aspects that are kind of taken from everything that we've done. It's a 3 to 5 minute presentation that you guys are going to record. Let me go over the requirements. This will make sense at the end. If you have any questions as we're going along, type it in the chat, or you guys just ask your questions if you've got any, okay? Okay, let me pull up the assignment on here. So you can find the information for this if you go to day 4. You can click on the environmental factor presentation on there. I don't think I wrote too much in the actual tab here. No. So I just put a link to it here. Now I did include a link. If you look again on the day 4 tab, there's a little link that says I've made a tutorial for how to get the Chrome extension here. So that's to use Loom. Have you guys ever used Loom for one of your other classes before? So it's just a Chrome extension that allows you to videotape what's on your screen. It makes a video of your screen. You can also use, it also could incorporate your webcam if you want a picture of your face in the corner. So some of the tutorial videos I've made, I've used Loom for that. And if you sign up using your school email, it's free. So you get like the pro version of it for free. You can record as long a video as you want, as many videos as you want. As soon as you're done recording the video and you stop the recording, it gives you a link. And then you can just put that link in whatever assignment or whatever you want to send. And then anyone clicking on that link can just watch your video. So it's a very, very simple way to make a video. So I highly recommend that that's what you use to tape your Google Slides presentation. But if you click on that little link there, it goes through the whole process, how to download it, how to use it, install it. I made a little video, okay? So if you're not sure how to use Loom, it's pretty good. But I recommend for this, when you're going to record your presentation, that you make your Google Slides presentation, then start up Loom, and then just present it. Present it on your screen. Go through, talk about your slides, and then when you're done, just turn it off. And then, like, that's your presentation. You've done it. Okay, it's like 3 to 5 minutes. It's not extremely long. Yes.
It's like, are we starting that right now, or is that for tomorrow?
That's for today. So that's what we're working on in this learning block.
So.
Yes. Go ahead.
So when is this like all really due?
Ideally, this would be done by the end of the day because you have the rest of this learning block. Let's see how things go. Okay, I'm hoping, because the presentation is fairly short, that this is like a reasonable amount of stuff to do.
It's gonna be like, it's not that much, but like, let's say you have to finish up the rest of the labs or.
Right. So during the learning block 3 today, that's like the time to like complete anything else that you have outstanding. Hopefully you're able to do that. We'll see. Yes.
How about the quiz today?
So the quiz has been canceled.
There's no quiz?
No, we originally were gonna have a quiz, but as you noticed, there are a number of things that have like coming due right now, and I know people are getting frustrated. It is significant. So I just cut the quiz. It's too much stuff.
Okay.
it's overwhelming people. So I'm not trying to overwhelm people. We'll do a quiz for the next unit, but not for this. Okay, so let me go through what you got to actually do. So if you click on, I wonder if I can look at the student view on here. So let me do it. Oh. No? It won't let me click up there. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, what's another way I can do this? I think can I show you my screen on here? Okay, hopefully this doesn't look ridiculous on the live feed. Okay. So I right now I have my student view turned on, so hopefully, can you guys see this? Oh, you're looking at the other view. Boy, how do I switch this? Oh, if I unplug, no, that won't work. How do I change what's being outputted to the screen? Okay, now you can see my regular screen, yeah? Okay. There we go. You guys can see this? Yeah. Okay. So, you go to the Assignments tab. This should be your view now. And then if you look down here, this is the presentation right here. It's called the Environmental Factor Presentation. If you click on it, there's the instructions for you, and then there should be some links below to important documents that you'll need in order to complete it. So what the purpose of this is you're going to pick a factor, something in the environment that affects cells. Okay, maybe it causes them to die. Maybe it causes them to malfunction. Maybe it causes their DNA to break up. Whatever. Some environmental factor that affects cells. I've given you a whole bunch of possibilities in the sign-up sheet right here. So you can choose one of these and sign up. I noticed some people are already signed up. That's cool. More than one person can pick the same topic. We're not going to be presenting these to the class or anything. So I don't really mind if more than one person's name is in one of these topics. Just pick one that you're interested in, okay? But for example, you could pick the effect of lead on cells. Okay, these are all we're only going to be discussing on human body cells here. So that would be the effect of lead on your cells, the effect of mercury, that's essentially mercury poisoning, the effect of ultraviolet radiation on skin cells. Question?
Do each of those topics on there have like a good amount of information?
More or less. I did, that's why I created this list. Like I picked some factors that I could find a bunch of stuff on. So most of these should be good topics. If you're really having difficulty finding information on any of these, let me know. I'll help you find some resources, okay? I'm here to help you. But in general, I think this should be fairly good for all of these topics. So anyway, you're gonna pick one of these. Okay, I know some people are signing up right now, and that's fine. So it says view the sign-up sheet below. Pick a topic you're interested in and place your name beside it. More than one person can sign up for the same topic. Now we're going to go through the actual requirements, what you need to include in your presentation. So in order to find those, there's a file attached to your PDF called Environmental Factor Presentation Assignment Requirements. You click on that. And this goes through and tells you what should be on your slideshow slide by slide, okay? So you know exactly what you need to include on every slide. There's really not much ambiguous here, okay? So your first slide is an introduction slide. Tell me your name and your topic. Then the second slide, you're going to explain what your factor is. So for example, if you picked ultraviolet radiation as your factor, what is ultraviolet radiation? Like, tell me about that, okay? Or if you picked mercury, what is mercury? Okay, tell me more about that. It's an element, you know, like explain to me what mercury is, okay? Then on the third slide, This is where you're gonna discuss a little bit about the body cells. For the slide 3, you could split this into more than one slide if you need to. If you feel like a lot of information is on slide 3, this could be slide 3 and 4. That's fine. Like, this is just a recommendation for the breakdown. If you need to split some of these into more slides, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with having more. But like, tell me about what causes your body to be exposed to this factor. Okay, like if it's ultraviolet light, like being in the sun, excessive sun exposure, like explain it. Okay, why would a person be exposed to this particular factor? What cells in the body are affected by your environmental factor? So tell me about what tissues, what areas of the body, where in the body are the cells located that are affected by this? For example, if you get lead poisoning, does that affect your skin? Does it affect your liver? Does it affect your brain? Like, tell me about where the effects are happening on your cells in the body. Okay, and again, you got to research all of this. How are they affected? So what is actually happening to the cells that are being exposed to this factor? Is it causing damage to their DNA? Is it changing their ability to metabolize? Is it breaking apart their cell membrane? Is it causing the Golgi not to work properly? Is it inactivating ribosomes? You know, tell me about what is actually happening at the cellular level due to exposure to this factor. Okay, you should be able to find that information for all of these. Okay, and again, if you can, let me know. Okay, and then more specifically, is there a specific effect on organelles? A lot of these are going to affect the cell membrane, but like, is there an effect on the DNA in the nucleus? Is there an effect on, you know, tell me more about it, okay? So you guys know what all the organelles do, what is being affected at the cellular level, and like what organelles would be involved in that effect, what's being impacted. Then on slide number 4, you're gonna tell me about the systemic effects. So slide number 3 is about the cellular effects. Slide number 4 is about the systemic effects. What happens to you as a person, as a human, when you're exposed to this factor? Okay, what are the symptoms? For a lot of these things, like there are things that happen globally to your body as a result of this exposure, okay? And which body systems are affected? Does it affect your respiratory system? Does it affect your reproductive system? Does it affect your integumentary system, which is your skin? You know, you tell me, okay, what body systems are involved? And then the last part here is treatment. So if you are exposed to this factor and it has a detrimental effect on your cells, what do? What is the treatment? Is there a chemical treatment, like a drug that you would take? Is there some other type of treatment? Is it just simply rest? Can it be repaired? So is the effect of the exposure to this exposure to this factor temporary, or is it permanent? Like maybe it can't be reversed, the damage that's caused by it. Okay? And then lastly, just explain the steps of treatment. What does one need to do in order to recover from exposure to this factor, to the cells? Okay? So it's fairly straightforward here. It is a fair amount of information, but I think it's broken down in a logical way here. Try and follow this flow when you're making your presentation. It'll be easier for you from a research perspective, and it'll also be a lot easier for me from a marketing perspective. Okay, so try and follow this flow. You need to include 2 sources minimum, okay? And you're gonna use APA citation. In order to make that process simpler, I know everybody's always just like, APA, ugh, like I don't know how to format that or whatever. So there's a really easy way to do it. So I have a link where is it? Right here. So it says create a research Google Doc to store all of your research. This is part of the assignment, okay? So you have to submit a copy of your research. That is part of it. So if you open this up, this template, you can make a copy of this, okay? And it has some examples in there. For every source that you use when you're doing research, you're gonna include the full APA citation here on the left. And a nice, easy way to do that is to use the app called Cite This For Me. Did you guys ever use this in another course? It's nice and easy to use. So all you do is, like, let's say that you are looking up effect of UV on skin cells, okay? And then you see this really cool article on UV radiation on skincancer.org. If you've downloaded the Cite This For Me Chrome extension, all you have to do is click on the Chrome extension. It's called Cite This For Me. I'll do it right here. We want APA citation, which is the default, and it cites it for you. That's it, okay? So all you have to do is copy the citation right here, the full citation, and then just paste that in your document. There you go. That's the full APA citation for that document. That's all you need to do. So you don't need to like be reading and looking for things and fiddling around, okay? It's dead simple. You just like click a button, copy the citation, and put it in, okay? That's all you have to do. Don't just include the link though, okay? Links are not enough. Citations include things like the date that you accessed it and stuff like that, which this does automatically. Okay, so there's your APA citation. And then beside it on the right, you're just gonna include in point form what is the valuable information that you found when you were reading through that site. Don't copy and paste. This is a really important skill for everybody to work on because when you're doing any type of presentation professionally, or if you're doing it in post-secondary like in college or university, you can't copy sources directly, okay? You always have to put your research into your own words, and this is how you do that. You write the research down, the stuff that you're learning from the article, in your own words, okay? If you want to use some kind of speech-to-text software for that, you can do that too. So you can just say what you learned, and then it'll write it down for you. If you're looking for options for speech-to-text, there's a whole bunch of free Chrome extensions that do that as well. Let me know. I will help you find those. But you do need to write it down in your own words, okay? So point form in your own words, and then when you're making your presentation, you're going to refer to this and not to the source material. So you're already referring to your own words. So when you make the presentation, it's your own words that you're putting on the presentation, not stuff that you're getting directly from the internet, okay? That's all it takes, is that's the conversion there from something that is a source into something that is your own words. So you need at least 2 sources. Okay, don't be pulling this information out of your head. You're like, oh, I think I heard something about mercury poisoning. Doesn't it make you crazy? Like, don't do that, okay? You need to find a source for all of your information, and you need at least 2. You're also going to include that information, just 1 second. You're also going to include that information on your last slide. So if you look at the slide number 6 on here, it says sources. You're also just going to include a list of your sources, okay? You don't need to include the information, that was what your presentation was, but just a list of your sources. Okay? Question?
What happens if you know something like just like knowledge, and then like I guess you think it's like you plagiarized it?
If it's important enough that you need to put in your presentation, you need a source for it.
No, but let's say you already know it. Like it's just something you know.
It's common knowledge?
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
I'm not sure.
If it's actually something that's common knowledge, everybody knows that, gravity pulls down, you know, like something like that. That kind of stuff that you can just use in a presentation. That's common knowledge. But most specific scientific knowledge, especially in something in a presentation like this, is not generally common knowledge. So that stuff you have to cite. Okay, some other things really quickly to mention here. I'm going to go through a presentation with you very quickly on some things to consider when you're doing your presentation, when you're creating it. Think about these things when you make your slides, okay? It talks about like pictures and things like that, okay? So we'll go through that in a second. You do need to include a research sheet, so don't forget to do it, okay? I'm not going to mark this presentation unless you have a research sheet with it, because it has to actually come from a real source, okay? And without the research sheet, you're not actually showing me where you got any of this information. You have to include one. So it's really important that you do that. And we'll go through the rubric really quickly together, but there is an attached rubric. Have a look at what I'm marking for, guys. Have a look at the rubric, because that's where your marks are coming from, right? So you may want to actually know what's on there. Okay. So let me quickly go through this presentation. I have also attached it here. So where is it? Creating a good presentation. You can go back and look at this anytime you like. How do I present? View, present. So this is the same thing that you're going to do when you record your Loom presentation. You go to View, Present. It brings up your presentation, and then you just talk over top of it. Use the arrows to go through it. Okay? So some things to think about when you're doing a presentation. Use point form. You're going to be talking, right? So the bulk of the information that you communicate during the presentation is you talking about these things. Tell me about what you learned. That's the point here, is you're explaining to me what you learned about this topic. The stuff that's on the slides is just to reinforce the things that you're saying. They're bullet points to remind you what to talk about, okay? They're not necessarily full sentences giving you a script. You are talking about what you learned. Okay, if you need a little bit more help, phrases are okay. It's not a huge deal, but don't write a script, okay? Or at least not on the screen. If you want to have a script somewhere else that you're reading, that's fine. But don't put a script on your slides, because that's for the person watching, not for you. And it's very difficult to watch if it's giant blocks of text. Okay, nobody wants to see that in a presentation. Include graphics. Probably for your particular thing that you're going to look up, you can find a microscope slide of what that tissue looks like after it's exposed. What do cells look like after they've been exposed to mercury? I bet you can find a picture of that. What does somebody look like who's experiencing lead poisoning? I bet you can find that. Okay? Show me. Show me what it looks like. It makes your presentation way more interesting if you can do that. Okay? Pick a font that people can see. This one's a little bit easier to do for you guys because we're doing it on a screen. So as long as you can read it on your screen, it's a good enough size. But you want to consider that if it's going to be on a screen, that it's the appropriate size so people in the audience can read it. Don't do this. Okay, so don't use backgrounds that make it really, really hard to read what's on your slides. Okay, I see this kind of stuff all the time. You don't need to do this, okay? This doesn't add anything to your presentation and it just makes it extremely difficult to tell what's going on. So don't use funky colors or whatever, just plain stuff is fine, guys. It's not a big deal. A color scheme is okay, but don't go overboard. Please put your slides in an order that is logical. In this case, I've given you an order. Just use the order that I've given you, okay? It'll make it easier for the flow of your presentation and it'll make it way easier to mark. You don't want me to miss something when I'm marking, so don't put it in a weird place so that I miss it, okay? Check your spelling. This should be the last step before you hand something in. Go through and look at your presentation. Like, is everything spelled correctly? Is anything underlined in red? If it is, fix it, okay? Don't just leave it. Don't use a ton of these transition animations like this in your presentation. It slows stuff down. It makes everything take forever, and it's just unnecessary, okay? So you're not putting on a show. You're just trying to communicate some information to me, so you don't need any of that stuff. And lastly, please use the correct citation format. I know I already mentioned this. You literally just have to click a button, guys. Use the Cite This For Me Chrome extension. It is so easy. You click on it, it gives you the citation, you copy it, you paste it. That's all. Because there's really no excuse to be like, oh, I couldn't figure out how to do it. You can figure out how to push a button, I promise. Okay, so if you're having difficulty installing it or using it, let me know. I'll go through it with you. But it really is literally just click a button. Okay, so please use the correct formatting. You can try Citation Machine too if you want. It's more complicated than just simply using Cite This For Me though, so I recommend using the easiest way. And that's it. So I better delete this so this isn't on your version. Getting back to the assignment. Okay, so then it says use the requirements as a guide, prepare your Google slide presentation. You're going to make your presentation. Then you're going to record your presentation. Again, watch the video on using Loom. I linked it there as well at the bottom. So you're going to record. I recommend for you guys that you probably do that at home in Learning Block 3 today. It's going to be the easiest for you because you're not going to get background noise and stuff like that. Plus, it's a little harder to record stuff with a mask on. So I recommend you do that in Learning Block 3. But I mean, if you really want to do it at school, it's not a huge deal. So you can do it here too. But I probably would do it on Learning Block 3. It'll be easier and quieter and less distraction. And then you're going to attach your video link. So in the assignment, there's a rubric we'll go over in 1 second. You're just simply going to put the link in here and submit. That's it. So the link is the link to the Loom video, okay? As soon as you're done the Loom video, it gives you a little link at the top. You just copy it, paste it in there, submit. Done. Oh, I missed one thing. Sorry. You got to link the Loom video and you also have to link the Google Doc of your research. Sorry, don't forget that. I need your research document and your Loom video.
Would you need a script?
No, you don't need a script.
Like, let's say we're reading it off, or...
If you're reading it off, that's fine, but I can stop, rewind. I'm going to be listening to your video, right? So I don't need your script. Any other questions about the presentation? I'll look down here too. So you don't have to show your face, Nadia, if you don't want to. When you're recording, if you just want it to be your screen, totally fine, okay? I don't need to see your face. In my opinion, it's nicer to see the face because it helps with the communication, but you're not going to be marked on that, okay? So if you don't want to show your face, that is totally fine. You don't have to. Any other questions? Oh yeah, let me just go through the rubric real quick here. So there's 3 aspects of the presentation I'm going to mark. The knowledge that you demonstrate. So are you presenting to me true facts here about the effects of these things on cells? Is it a sufficient amount of detail? Are you really discussing what's happening to the organelles on the page where I've asked you to discuss that, okay? Are you talking about the effect on the cells? Are you really covering the points that you've been asked to cover on each slide, okay? And is the information accurate? So that's the knowledge component. Are you demonstrating the knowledge I'm asking you to demonstrate? The second part is the communication part. This is all the stuff around your presentation. How you present it. Can I understand what you're saying? Are you saying it in a way that makes sense? Is your presentation following those general guidelines for a good presentation? Did you include pictures? Did you use point form? Is there spelling mistakes? All of those things. Okay, so all the stuff around communication regarding your presentation I'm going to mark here. And then the last part here is, did you properly cite your research? Did you use APA formatting? And did you put things into your own words? Okay, that as you go up through the grades, I realize this is a grade 11 course, but it becomes more and more important as you go up, okay? And in post-secondary, it's extremely important that you're doing proper research and citing your sources correctly, okay? Like projects get thrown out if you don't do that stuff, so.
Did you get like
Cool.
spells from the school if you copy and paste?
If you are totally plagiarizing stuff, yes, and that does happen. Usually you get a warning the first time. It depends on the context of it.
Things like on an exam.
Exams are a little harder to plagiarize on because you're writing it in a gym and it's
Yeah.
controlled environment, but like for projects though, for sure. Any other questions? So I'll be available just like normal in the chat here if you guys have questions at home. And let me know if you're having any difficulty finding sources of information or anything regarding the project, okay? Let me know right away. If you need time during this block to work on any of the labs, you can do that too. I'm really quickly just gonna go over what you actually need to submit for this course because people are asking me, what exactly do I have to give you? Okay, so this is one thing. Hopefully this presentation is done by the end of today. That's what we're shooting for. This is your summative assessment for this unit. So we are shooting for by the end of today. The due date is technically midnight today. However, if it takes you an extra day or two, it's not a huge deal. I won't be marking these until the weekend. So that's not a huge deal, but I would shoot for it today, okay? That's definitely what you're going for. In terms of other stuff that's due in this course, I'll look at all the assignments right here. Parent information survey, student parent information survey. I need to get that from every student. I have it from 20 out of 25, so I'm close, but I still need to get it from several people.
What is that, sir?
That's the student information survey that you were supposed to do on the first day. I might need it from you. I'll have to double check that. You may have handed it in, I'm not sure off the top of my head. Your cellular biology vocabulary list. You need at least 15 words from the unit, anywhere from the unit, and definitions in your own words. Hopefully you've been adding to that throughout the unit. I've asked you to do that, and you may already have 15. If you've got enough, turn it in. Okay, you got to attach that Google Doc with the words and your definitions, hand it in. The cell types lab assignment. That was yesterday's lab assignment. I have this from about half the class already, which is great. But if you finish that Google Doc, attach, hand it in. The diffusion lab assignment. Most people are probably in some part of completing that right now. Oh yeah, absolutely, Brody. You can add more words if you want to. Yes, the presentation is technically due today because this is the last day of this unit. I would say, again, it's not a huge deal if you're handing it in before the weekend, which is when I'm going to mark it. I wouldn't leave it into the middle of your second learning block. You could, but I wouldn't do that though because you're going to have work from your second learning block, and plus I'd like to give you marks for this presentation. So by the weekend, really ideally, I'd like you to get this in today. I mean, shoot for today. But by the weekend would be really ideal, okay? If it's going on past that, you should probably email me, like let's chat about extending the deadline and talking about when things are going to get finished because you're not going to want to leave it too much later than that.
So you make the presentation on Google Slides, and then you put it on. How do you turn in the slide from here to the?
How do you make a video?
Now, how do you turn in the real slide? How do I show you? The slide?
You don't need to turn the slideshow in.
You don't?
You're going to videotape yourself making the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're going to use Loom for that. There's a link in the project that is a tutorial on how to use Loom, and I recommend that you go through that. You're going to want to watch that. So like I said, the Diffusion Lab, people are in various stages of completing that. I think I have it from 3 people. Whenever you're done that would be great. Again, ideally it's supposed to be done today. In the next couple days would be good, if not. And then we've got this presentation. So this is the stuff that is being marked from block 1. I do need all of this stuff. So I won't be getting to marking it until the weekend. I can almost guarantee you that. I don't have very much for my other course, so I'm a little bit behind. So by the weekend is fine, but please actually turn this stuff in and don't leave it deep into learning block 2, or you're gonna get yourself into trouble. Okay, and if you are in that place where you're like, I don't think I'm gonna get this done, please let me know. Okay, let's communicate and like talk about extending the deadline, just so I know when it's coming in for you and you're not just disappearing off the map. Okay, I don't want you to get into trouble, and I definitely want you to get the credit at the end of this course. So let's communicate if you're in that boat. Question?
How do we record our voices for the slideshow?
So you're going to use Loom. If you go to this right here, this is the assignment. There is a little link right here to a tutorial that explains how to record the assignment. Okay, I made a little video tutorial, so I'll let you watch that on your own there. The portfolio, Nadia, is something that is probably going to be towards the end of the course. So that we're going to do possibly in place of an exam. I haven't figured out exactly how that's going to work yet, but you may be compiling different things that you've done throughout the course that haven't been previously marked. For example, like that organelle assignment that you did on the first day, and putting it into a portfolio that's going to demonstrate your learning from the course. I don't 100% know how that's going to work yet. So this is a new model for me in terms of assessment. I'll get back to you on that when I know more about that. Any other questions? Okay, I'll let you get to work, guys. Let me know if you need anything. And I'll be on in the chat.